Residential Sales Comparison and Income Approaches, Chapter 17, Small Residential Income Property Appraisal Report. Page 16, check your understanding. This quiz has a total of 3 questions. There will be 1 question per page. You must achieve 66% to pass this quiz. Start quiz. Number 1. A property sold for $140,000. It had 2 5-room apartments, 2 4-room apartments, and a 3-room studio apartment. What did it sell for per room? A, $6,667. B, $6,892. C, $7,258, or D, $8,431. I'm going to go A, $6,666.67. Number 2, in the current SREPAR March of 05, unit indicators are developed from blank figures. A, gross only, B, adjusted only, both gross and adjusted, or D, neither. Adjusted only. I'm not sure about that one. And number 3, in the current SREPAR March of 05, you must reconcile a minimum of blank value indicators. A3, B4, C6, or D7. I think it's either 6 or 7 in my opinion. Assessment completed, finish. You actually passed. You got a 66.7%. So remember, number 1, a property sold for $140,000. It had 2 5-room apartments, 2 4-room apartments, and a 3-room studio apartment. What did it sell for per room? You said $6,667, somewhere right around there, and that is correct. The way I got that was I just added all the rooms, and I divided that total, which was 21, from $140,000, which kicked me out that $6,667. Number 2, in the current SREPAR March of 05, unit indicators are developed from blank figures. You said adjusted only, and that is incorrect. The correct answer is both gross and adjusted. In the current SREPAR March 05, unit indicators are developed from both gross and adjusted figures. And lastly, number 3, in the current SREPAR, March of 05, you must reconcile a minimum of blank value indicators. You said 7, and that was correct. Continue.
Politico, D.C. 328 Clinton Avenue. Politico, D.C. 686 Residential Sales Comparison and Income Approaches. Help. Documents. Email Instructor. CH17 Small Residential Income Property Appraisal Report. PG17 Income Approach. Notes. Leave a comment. Income Approach. In the first line of the Income Approach section of the SREPAR, it specifically calls for a total of the gross rents from all units. This means a total of the market rents for each unit that we had estimated back in the rental comparable section. The income approach is not required by Fannie Mae for one-unit properties appraised on the URR, but is required here, and rightfully so. This approach has more importance in analyzing investment property. The other part of the equation, the GRM, typically comes from a reconciliation of the GRMs for the comparable properties that were calculated at the top of the sales grid. We enter the appropriate numbers and then multiply the gross rent total by the GRM to achieve an indication of value by the income approach. Then we have to provide a narrative summary of the applicability and strengths and weaknesses of our opinions of the rent and the GRM that we chose. End of page. Chapter start. 94%. Help. The other part of the equation, the GRM, typically comes from a reconciliation of the GRMs for the comparable properties that were calculated at the top of the sales grid. We enter the appropriate numbers and then multiply the gross rent total by the GRM to achieve an indication of value by the income approach. Then we have to provide a narrative summary of the applicability and strengths and weaknesses of our opinions of the rent and the GRM that we chose. End of page. 94%.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Okay, so it showed like the income part of the whatever that form is, the 1025. The highlighted parts are total gross monthly rent, $, and comments on income approach, including reconciliation of the gross rent multiplier, were highlighted.
Help. Documents. Email Instructor. CH17 Small Residential Income Property Appraisal Report. PG18 Reconciliation Section. Notes. Leave a comment. Reconciliation Section. The only difference between this section of the SREPAR and the URR is that the URR offers a space for the income approach if developed. Here it is required. In the reconciliation section, we enter the values by all approaches and then embark on a narrative reconciliation in which we address the applicability and reliability of each approach. We explore the strengths and weaknesses of each approach and comment on the quality and quantity of data available in each. At this point, we have not even reached the cost approach. It appears on page 3. However, if we do develop a cost approach, we import, or let the software do it for us, the indication of value from the cost approach into the form here in the reconciliation section. End of page. Chapter start. 94%.
Alright, it's showing the reconciliation section. The only highlighted part is the dollar number that you came to next to the income approach. On that little line, it talks about the indicated value by, the first one is the sales comparison approach, it shows a dollar figure. The income approach, it shows a dollar figure. And the cost approach, if developed, shows a dollar figure. There's like 5 lines underneath that, blank. And then it says the appraisal is made, and you have 2 check boxes, either something as is or subject to the completion per plans and specifications on the basis of a hypothetical condition that the improvements have been completed. There's a check marks. It says subject to the following repairs or alterations on the basis of a hypothetical condition that the repairs or alterations have been completed. Or another checkbox, subject to the following required inspection based on extraordinary assumption that the condition or deficiency does not require alteration or repair. Then underneath that, it talks about based on a complete visual inspection of the interior and exterior areas of the subject property. Defined scope of work, statement of assumptions and limiting conditions, and appraiser certification. Our opinion of the market value as defined of the real property that is the subject of this report is, and it shows one last dollar logo, and then there's a blank behind it. As of blank, I guess that's the date, which is the date of the inspection and the effective date of this appraisal. So that's the last dollar that you come to, your final opinion of what the value is.